So there's no short to the body, it's a brand new injector on cylinder 1. I'm going to put a noid light in and see if it flashes when it's cranked. So looking here at the millibar, 1557 millibar. So a millibar I would guess is 1,000 to 1 bar. So that would be 1.5 bar, that's way too much pressure. And then it's struggling to run. I think we've got a choked exhaust. The fact it goes back down to 0 with the ignition on makes me think that it's not a faulty reading. I think we need to play off the DPF on this one. Okay, now I'm lying under the car. That green pipe is a vacuum hose that I've connected, and the pipe that's black would be going on to the DPF. So that's the metal pipe that I've connected onto, is the pipe before the DPF. This one's only got one. Okay, I can't really get a good shot of it because I'm not close. There. So there's the one that's before the DPF. There isn't one after it. So if I go on to there and put a gauge on the end of this, we'll know that it is definitely blocked. And then we just know it's a black DPF. I'm in the car, I'm gonna start it up. I've got a jump pack because I think it's dead. I hope it doesn't fall off when I crank the car. And there's the gauge on the floor. Let's see what the pressure goes up to. Yeah, that maxed out right there. 0.7. Well, see, that's maxed out. It only goes up to 10 psi. Now it's going down slowly as the pressure's seeping away. So we know we've got a totally choked DPF now. And that's probably down to the injectors not being fitted properly by the last people that looked at this. So now I might just take the gauge off, take the hose off and see if I can get it to run. Maybe try and do a regen. I doubt I can. It will need to use the front sensor. I think this is far too choked to do anything with it. What I've done now is disconnected the green hose. I'm going to see if this actually starts and runs. I might get enough gas to escape through that metal pipe that green hose was connected onto, so I'll see if it starts. You can hear there, you can hear the pressure, the exhaust back pressure. Even then it stalled, I didn't like it. It's too much, it's totally choked. Might do some damage if I keep trying. Definitely the problem. Exhaust back pressure, it needs a DPF. I'll try once more. Yeah. Kind of running, I don't. The only way I can get it to run is with that DPF pipe off. It wouldn't run at all like this before. I may find enough that I can do a regen. No, it's saying check vehicle. It knows the pressure's wrong. It's not happy. So it should be seeing some sort of pressure because I've got the check vehicle. Because I've disconnected it, you can really hear it. I mean, this wouldn't even run at all before if I had that thing connected. Yeah, I'm gonna just leave it switched off. Nope, there. Fuel temperature circuit's top of the list there. I'm going to look at that whilst I'm here, but we already know that we've got a problem with pressure out of range, and the sensor does seem to be telling the same thing as the gauge, so I'm okay to leave that. It definitely needs a DPF because it's that choked. I don't think we're going to get that to clean out. It could be down to the fact the injectors weren't fitted correctly. They were bouncing about, they weren't bolted down fully. That could have caused bad combustion, and it could have just choked the DPF because they've ran it like that. So the middle one there, consistency multiplex signal for cruise control, not too worried about that one now, but I'll just check the fuel temperature sensor whilst I'm here. Fuel temperature sensor right here. I know that because it's going into the fuel line. It's not going into a solenoid, it's just a fuel line, and there's two wires. I got the multimeter out and it's -12 because I'm on the battery positive. I was going to see which one's the ground wire. If I go into the wire next to it, that's also -12. So I'm going to use a test light, because the test light will only light up on a proper ground wire. See there? I'm in the other wire now and it's still -12, so I'll get the test light, and the test light will light up on one of those, and I'll know the other one's supposed to have power. I got the test light connected. If I touch ground like this high pressure rail pipe there, it lights. So one of these should light. It's not that one, it's that one. So I know, even though they were both showing -12, I know which one is the ground, and it's the green wire. Okay, so we know the green wire, and the one that's like pink and white, or red and white, must be the signal. So we know which is which now. There again. Yeah, so the green is the ground. Right, now I'm going to plug it in and see what volts I have here on the other side when I put the ignition on. The ignition on, I've got 3.3 volts. You see that? That's probably a bit better there. 3.3 volts with the ignition on, that should be 5 volts. But because this is a thermistor, it's checking temperature, that's okay. Because I know what brings this voltage down is resistance, right? If it's open circuit, it would be 5 volts. And if it's got resistance going through there or a short to ground, it would bring it down. In this case, I'm showing 3.3, but it's using the circuitry inside the multimeter. That is the resistor in this case bringing it down, so I don't need to go chasing a voltage drop. I just know that 3.3 is actually okay for a 5 volt thermistor. Some different multimeters will have a different circuitry inside, and it will show you 5 volts or closer to it. This one is 3.3, but I know from trying this out in the past that that's actually okay. So I'm not going to waste time chasing that. I'm going to plug it in and see what happens. It's dropped it down to 2.1, so I'm not sure why it thinks it's got a fault. We know the ground side's okay, and we know it has reacted when I plugged it in. I'll look at the live data and see what temperature it thinks that is. So it was definitely fuel temperature sensor circuit, unless there's another fuel temperature sensor somewhere else. Maybe there is. I'm just going for that one because I've seen it. So I'm going to look for the fuel temperature on here and see what it thinks it is. It's just taking a while. Okay, so we've got air temperature 30, water temperature 20, and for the air, let's try and find the the fuel. Let's look for the fuel. Fuel rail pressure, which is 0, which is right. We want 0 because there's fuel temperature above it. 18, I would say that's about right. So that might just be an old fault code. Maybe somebody had it unplugged. I'll try and clear the fault codes and see what happens. Let's see what's gone out of those fault codes. No code, so they've all gone. Okay, so we know in this case all we're really needing to do is get a DPF. That's too far choked. I might try one last time, but I think it's too far choked to do anything with it.